Hey, what's going on, good people? So, looks like we're live, and I wanted to say welcome everybody to the fancy Russ Can Fly studio here in, the Philadelphia metropolitan area. It has been an exciting whirlwind. So I wanted to come and just, go live, talk about what's happening in my instrument rating, training journey, where I am, what progress I have made, what are some of the major challenges that I'm experiencing, and one of the absolute triumphs that I had. I can't wait to share this with you all and where do I think the training is going? And so we'll go through some of that. Then I will also talk about, where do I see the channel going? And what are my aviation plans, if any? I'm beginning to think about where I want to go, what I want to do, and what it means to have this platform, Russ Can Fly. Hey, what's going on, Edward? Nice to see you, man. Good afternoon. NM, what's going on? Good to see you. So, Jose Nieves, what's up, brother? Good to see you. So definitely excited to talk about, some of those things, and we will go from there. I will say that it has been a very, very interesting time for this journey. And I'm excited for all of the possibilities that are, on the horizon. Now, here's what I will say. Feel free to send stuff in the chat. I know it may get disjointed, but I really want this to be interactive. Um, Edward said might be raining here on Long Island, but sunny in here. Yes, absolutely. It's raining here too, pretty good, Edward. Uh, and that's why I thought, and excuse me, my allergies are kicking up anytime it rains a little bit and the pollen and all that kind of stuff. But I figured that's why it'd be good to kind of do a little live here. And so, yeah, so the first one of the things I'm going to do is just send something in the chat myself. I've never done this before, so I'm going to be chatting myself. So welcome everybody. I'm glad to see folks are coming online. Joe Pilot, good morning, good day. How are you, brother Joe? Good to see you. And so let's kind of jump into what's on the agenda. And one of the things that if you haven't been watching any of the latest videos, and the latest video that is out is I do my first VOR approach. I was at and VORs, if many of you don't know, it's a ground-based aviation navigation system that allows airplanes and pilots to navigate point to point. The beauty of VORs is it sends out radial signals 360 degrees, and it sends out a signal that a receiver in an airplane can pick up. And you hear something called an OBS, and an omni bearing way of navigating. You can tune what we call the needle to a VOR, and it will basically direct you straight there. Now, they used to have these things called NDBs. They have gone the way of the dinosaur. They were called non directional beacons. And so basically, it would send out a signal. You would tune that particular navigation device to that signal, and you could go right to that. So just like NDBs or non-directional beacons, VORs are beginning to become somewhat obsolete in this era of GPS. And so one of the things that's kind of interesting is that you still need to train how to do VOR arrivals or approaches or navigation, because one of the things that could happen is, now everybody knows that global positioning systems or GPS. Hey, what's going on, BMJ? Good to see you as well. Um, GPS, is not fail proof, and they are subject to solar flares and stuff in space, and even other mischief. And so you still need to have stuff here on the earth to direct airplanes. So VORs is one of those types of devices that are still, available. Now there is something called a MON or an MON, um, and an MON, and I'll put that in the chat. Um, is a minimal operations. I think operations network. And what that will do is, it basically is a minimal amount of VORs that allow you to navigate. That's in the event that something happens to the GPS system, airplanes are still be able to navigate through this minimal network of VORs. So many of the VORs in the Northeast area have been retired. And in fact, if you are a pilot and you go up and you try to dial in a frequency, one of the things that you'll hear is like this, like Morse code that lets you know that you've connected to the right VOR. Well, right now there's a bunch of them that you dial it up and you hear nothing, and that's just because that VOR has been taken offline, or that ground-based, navigation system. So even though that's true, there are still many airports that have VOR approaches to them. And must have come out in the last 20 years. Yeah, it's true. So so as part of my training, I still have to do VOR navigation, and navigation not only using GPS but VORs and some of the other ground-based um, you know uh, systems. Now, um, ILS approaches use ground base. There's RNAV GPS approaches, all this kind of stuff. So don't want to get too super technical and don't want to bore anybody, but those are the types of things that are currently happening in my training. Now, here's the thing that I find the most challenging. Blue side up 77. Every time I clear a P-28 for takeoff, the phrase I say to the cab. uh I'm hoping it's like heels to the floor, full power, So, but at any rate, what's up, Blue Side? It's good to see you. Um, so one of the things that I'm finding the most challenging about this instrument rating training is connecting the dots between understanding intellectually what I'm supposed to do here on the ground and what's actually happening in the airplane when I'm actually flying. Blue side up. Yes, sir. Oh my gosh. Russ can fly. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, blue side up. So it's one of those things where I'm beginning to figure out how much I'm fixating on just one or two of the instruments. For instance, the last training session that I had, I was so worried about my altitude and heading that I just completely blew past things like, it's time for me to do my checklist, it's time to make radio calls, all of that kind of stuff. And I just kind of flew over stuff. So I'm just struggling to kind of stay ahead of the airplane. And for my non-pilot peeps, what that means is you always want to be a few steps ahead before you get to a place in your flight. So if I'm flying from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, let's say, I've got some time before I need to worry about okay, what's on my landing checklist, right? But I don't want to get to, the beginning of Allegheny County where Pittsburgh is, and I'm just figuring out, oh, I didn't do anything in terms of my cruise checklist, my climb checklist, and I have flown 2 hours with the landing light on and the fuel pump on, so it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to keep ahead of your tasks so that by the time the next thing is supposed to happen, you're already prepared to make it happen, or you have already made it happen. And so that's the thing that I'm like really, really struggling with. It's, trying to connect the dots, bring everything together. And the thing that is like absolutely impossible for me right now is trying to communicate. Tell you a quick story. We were flying into Allentown Airport. It is a Class Charlie airport here in the Northeast, part of Pennsylvania. And I came in and I said I was requesting to do, and I forget what it was, but I'll just make something up. It was like request to do the GPS, RNAV GPS approach to runway 13. The ATC guy came back, and all I heard was November 1541 Charlie. That was the only thing that I heard. Hey, Washington, Stephen, what's going on, man? Good to see you. So I just turned to my CFI and said, you got to get this. I have no idea what's happening right now. I am just going to fly this airplane, but right now I've just got nothing in terms of being able to do anything in terms of talking to this person. Now, what they said was, "Hey, Jose, laughing out loud. That's how it goes sometimes with those ATC calls." Yep. And M said, "Yep, been there, done that. Literally here, here you do it." Yeah, I was completely discombobulated. So what they said was, and I know that there's this thing called PTAC, and PTAC is position, and then your turn, your altitude, and then your clearance. And so that's one of the things that I'm trying to remember. So what ATC told me was where I was, or the P, position. Then they helped me to turn to a heading. They said turn heading 310, and then my altitude, set and maintain 3,000 until established, and then C, the clearance. Cleared, GPS, RNAV GPS, runway 13, November 1541 Charlie. That was it. That's not what I heard. What I heard was, oh my gosh. NM says, I learned it as heading, altitude clear for the approach. Yet it helps to know what to expect. Absolutely. So those are the things that I am just absolutely struggling, because I know PTAC, I know all of that kind of stuff. And I even know how to brief a chart and all that kind of stuff, and I can do it. But doing all the pieces together as the flight is happening, man, I just, and, staying disciplined in terms of keeping my heading, maintaining my proper altitude. Oh my gosh. And I've got this thing where I like to go to the right. Like, I don't know what's up with that, but it's like if I'm ever off my heading, it's always to the right. So at least I know that. So those are the things that, I am just, struggling with. Let me see. Blue Side Up 77. I realized this week I started speaking faster when I had a PC 12, two Cessnas, a Cherokee, and a third Cessna call up at once. I recognized it in my head, but it was hard to slow down my speech. Yeah, I get it. Everybody's like, there's just like this pressure to like make sure all the communication is done quickly. Richard Kennedy, hey, just tuned in. Did you see Doc while it was out there? No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't. And then that's my biggest complaint with the radio. It's horrible. 2025, that's the best we can do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's sometimes it's difficult to understand. And one of the things I have to make sure is that my mic is properly in front of my mouth so they can hear me. Dynamite 611. Hey Russ, do you have a fear of heights? I heard of pilots who have a fear of heights. Okay, I'm gonna out myself here. I don't have a fear of heights, but the strangest thing is happening, especially as I get older. I have always been slightly claustrophobic as a child. I was one of those people like the idea of some big kid, back in elementary school, locking me in a locker is the stuff of nightmares. Um, and it's funny, I remember that, it actually did happen one time. And, I was in there and I just told myself, if I panic, I'm just basically going to tear myself up because I can't get out of here, but I'm going to freak out and I'm going to be pounding on this stuff. I'm going to hurt myself. So I don't have a fear of heights, but I am claustrophobic. So sometimes every blue moon, I will be flying in Charlie, either with somebody or by myself, and I'll have this creepy, like feeling like I've got to get out of here. And it's like, dude, you are the pilot. You can't like the plane starts to feel really, really small, and I start to get like really uncomfortable. I mean, it's just bizarre. And so I had to talk myself down. And that'll actually even happen commercially sometimes where I'll be on the airplane, we're up at 35,000 feet, and all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta get out of here. And it's like, dude, you gotta calm down. And so that's one of the things that does happen. But no, I'm not scared of heights. But the claustrophobia thing is kind of crazy. Um, yeah. So MN says, "Loud, no way, PTSD." He also says, "I feel that on commercial planes. I don't like it when they close the door." Yeah, I hear that, and I just really have to like center myself. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is that when I'm on a commercial flight, I'll look around and I'll say to myself, they're all fine. You can breathe. If they're fine, you're fine. Just chill out. I mean, and that's just what I do. But it is that initial like, I don't like the fact that I can't be outside. And it's kind of interesting. Dynamite 611. I developed a fear of flying in my 20s, but I flew a lot as a teen and as a child. I do worry about claustrophobia. Yeah, that's really interesting. And yep. So yeah, it's good to know that. Yeah, you guys aren't alone. I do have that. As an issue. And so, yeah, so that's what's happening on the IFR training front in terms of my challenges. Now, real quick, let me tell you this. Thank you, Russ, for answering my question. Big fan always. Not a problem, Dynamite 61. Always a pleasure. So the one triumph, the absolute triumph that I've had during instrument training is I was actually flying by myself. Now, if any of you guys who are in the Northeast, I don't know because it's drier or I can't figure out what's going on, but there's been a lot of fires in the area. Canada, of course, but even in New Jersey, there's been a couple times where there's been, well, the one fire that they had, I think it was like a SEPTA bus depot, bunch of SEPTA buses burned. But there's been like like wildfires, like forest fires in New Jersey, and for folks who don't know, New Jersey has a lot of lands. They call them the Pine Barrens. And recently, a lot of the fires have been like man-made. People just like the one fire that you hear in the last video. Vanessa and I talking about it. The guy set the fire intentionally. He put like a bunch of wood pallets up and started a bonfire and walked away. Um, but some of the fires, I guess they've been natural. So what that has caused is, a couple times you get up there and I mean, it is hazy as all get out. So just yesterday, Friday, I was flying back from Lancaster to Doylestown. I had to go to Lancaster because one of the things about my autopilot is there was an airworthiness directive or an AD for the GFC 500 autopilot that it had the potential to do a runaway trim, and it needed a software update. Now, what do I mean by runaway trim? So, for my non pilot peeps, your trim wheel is a fine tune that you can do on the elevator of the airplane that allows you to do um, fine pitch adjustments for the nose of the airplane. And so what that does is it takes the pressure off the yoke so that you're not having to push it forward or pull it back, because those pressures can get quite substantial, especially in larger aircraft. So you use the trim to take away those pressures. Um, let me see. iWeb RBLX. God bless you, Russ, for stopping in to say hi. Hey, what's going on? Runaway trim sounds like 7.3 Max. Yeah. So what happens is if your trim does a runaway, it either trims all the way back or all the way forward. So that means that now it's trimming for a nose down or it's trimming for a nose up, and you don't know it, and you're fighting this airplane, right? And so the autopilot, as it's flying, all of a sudden it can say, oh, we need to trim the nose up. And then all of a sudden the trim just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. Then next thing you know, the airplane loses airspeed, it stalls, and you have a bad day. So I was getting my autopilot and all of the software updated on Lancaster. And they did Lancaster Avionics. Shout out to them. No, this is not sponsored, but they did an amazing job. I had flown to Lancaster just to schedule, and the guy came out and he was like, do you have time? We can do this now. And he did the avionics update for me. So if you have any avionics issues and you're in the area, I definitely recommend Lancaster uh, Avionics. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. Lancaster Avionics, because they were, definitely awesome, great customer service. So, James S., I am in Upper Midwest, and we had done some really haze skies from Canadian wildfires. Yeah, visibility was still 10 miles, but I didn't know how bad 10-mile visibility can be. James, I agree. So it was still reporting 10 miles viz here. I was like, they're lying. So I take off from Lancaster. I am going east, so I'm going to go up to 5,500 feet. Now, as I got to about 3,000 feet, I looked down and I could still see the ground, but I noticed that it was really, really foggy looking. By the time I got to 5,000 feet and I still had 500 feet to go, I was almost losing contact with the ground. And by the time I got to 5,500 feet, I may be dating myself, but back in the day when there was like a romantic part of movies, you'd see this like smoky filter. So you really couldn't see the people, and they'd be, the little embrace and scrum, but you really couldn't see them. It's almost like they rubbed like Vaseline or something on the, on the, on the actual, camera lens or whatever. But that's the way it looked. Like I could, I know, MM. I'm just saying, but that's the way the ground looked. It looked real. Like I really, really couldn't see it that well. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I now one of these VFR pilots finding themselves in really IMC conditions? Because one of the things that was really interesting is that, like I said, the weather was still reporting 10 miles visibility. And so it was reporting VFR. But I got to tell you, it was marginal at best. So as I'm coming into Doylestown, I'm worried that that, that I'm gonna not be able to find the airport. So I said to myself, okay, you got to figure this out. You've been taking some training. So put in, the wind is 030. So that means you're going to be landing on runway 5. So pull up the RNAV GPS approach for runway 5 at Doylestown. Did that, managed to get that in. Also, managed to, activate the approach. Now, since I knew no one is going to be vectoring me, I knew I was going to have to do the whole approach. So I put that in, activated that. The other thing that I managed to figure out how to do is to activate the autopilot to not only fly me to the initial approach fix, but to have the autopilot fly the approach for me. And now I call my autopilot Carol. So Charlie and Carol are sisters. Charlie is the airplane, November 1541 Charlie. Carol is her sister who helps her fly every now and then when Russ can't fly, So I said, Carol, come on, help me out here. So I got Carol situated because I had, the AD was done. She was good to go. And I said, Carol, I need your help. She's like, I got you. And I am not going to lie to you. Carol flew me down to minimums. And I could see, and I mean, she was on a rope. I mean, I was like, golly, this is amazing. Like Garmin GFC 500 autopilot for the win all day. I mean, so I broke out of this like hazy stuff and I got down to about, and I think minimums on that approach chart is 810 feet. And actually by 1,000, I could see, the runway pretty good. And I thanked Carol. I kicked her off and did a regular landing. And so that was an absolute triumph. So if nothing else, I know that if I get myself in trouble, which I'm not going to do, and I wasn't planning on doing that either, because like I said, yesterday was reporting VFR and it was forecast to be VFR all day. It all worked out. So, I was so thankful to Carol, and her, helping a brother out. But the triumph was, wow, I actually did something in an instrument environment that, that if worse comes to worse, I know that, I've got the wing leveler and all that kind of stuff. So that was so exciting that, yeah, like, if it had been a cloud or whatever, I would, figure it out. So it was amazing. So let me see in the comments, Edward, not to get off topic, did you find the Lancaster video with the FBO's pool table? Edward, I'm still looking for that. And I think it's the video. I think I found out which video it is. I'm just trying to find it, but it's the one just before I take my check ride. And I think I go there to the FBO because I did my check ride at Lancaster. And I think that's when I go into the FBO and do like a little tour. So I think it's like pre-check ride or whatever. So, but I'm going to send that to you because I'm pretty sure that's it. And that's the one. Let's see. NM, I'm Edward Molina's wife unit. Wife unit. I love it. I love it. How you doing? Nice to meet you. That is great. James S. Plane I fly is Garmin 650, and the visual approach procedures in those conditions is really handy. Yeah, I didn't try that, James. And I saw it. It's interesting. I saw that pop up like visual, but I wasn't exactly sure what it was trying to do, and I really couldn't see that well, so I didn't want to hit that. But I had already activated the approach, and it had already captured the glide slope, and it was already. So I was just at that point, I just managed the power, because one of the things that I realized is that at that point, all I have to do is just power management, So I just powered it to 1500, on the tack, and let Charlie and Carol handle their business. I was like, come on, sisters, handle that business. Edward. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll look it up that way. Yeah, so I'm gonna find it. I'm pretty sure I can find it for you. Um, so that's been the challenge. That's been the triumph, and it has been really good. Here's the thing that I will say. I have to admit that there was a period there where I was going to quit the training. And it's not so much because of my CFI. My CFI is amazing. But one of the problems, and the other pilots I'm sure will attest, what's up with the weather? I mean, seriously, we are live today because you know, it's Father's Day weekend. And yes, me and my wife are gonna be, hanging out, and going to dinner and all that kind of stuff. But you know, it's like kind of rainy. I think it's like 65 degrees, and it's been kind of crazy from the standpoint that not only has the weather been kind of cooler than times, but from it seemed like from March through June, the wind has just been absolutely bananas. There's been times we've gotten up there and it's like gusting 30 knots. And I'm like, we've got to get down on the ground. Like this is not there's I am doing nothing here but just struggling to keep the airplane, up in the air and not, tear the wings off of this thing, right? Because one of the things that you have to be cognizant of as a pilot is if you're in rough air or turbulence, there is maneuvering speeds that you have to be mindful of. And I got to tell you, one time we were up there and I had this vicious tailwind, and I mean it was over speeding on me. I was like getting into the yellow arc and all that kind of stuff, and it was not cool. Blue side up, my Lancaster Aerotech CFI, personal minimums. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's something that's key. Is definitely his personal minimums for sure. Blue side up. Yeah, CFI. I just exceeded mine. A true story. Yeah. So I you know, I exceeded my personal minimums on that flight from Lancaster. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it was just inadvertent. It was smoke, and that's the danger. It's like weather and conditions. I know there's been people who have been in areas where there's been volcanic activity and it's like ash. And you just have to avoid that because it'll just tear the airplane up. So that's one of the things that has been difficult. So I haven't been consistent. And so once I get up there, I'm struggling, and sometimes I'm struggling with the same things. And it's frustrating, right? And so there's just been times where I've just thought, I don't need this. But the one thing that definitely keeps me going is all of you. I can't tell you. I mean, and I mean this. I never thought that this YouTube journey would be one of those things where a community would be created that would be supportive of me in my aviation journey. The way I looked at it was, I mean, and we'll get more into this, like in terms of where Russ Can Fly is going. But you guys have been extremely, extremely supportive. ANPU 2678. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Hello, right back at you. Um, so so I will just say that it has been absolutely frustrating at times, but the beauty has been that you guys have all been supportive. Edward, we got you 24/7. Definitely appreciate it. So definitely gonna say you know uh thanks for the love. It has definitely been appreciated. Your support has been felt, and it's kept me from quitting. I mean, and quitting a number of times, not only, with this instrument, but private pilot. So thank you so much for that. But I'm going to stick with it because one of the things that I do want to show in this journey is that, yeah, You will see me struggle. You will see me do crazy stuff. You will see me fail. You'll see me do well. But at the end of the day, I want to show that this can be done and that at the beginning, it is tough. And so there's some channels where you'll see people do instrument stuff and they make it look easy, and you'll be thinking, well, why is it so hard for me? No, it's hard for everyone when you first start. And I just want to be, my testimony to be, don't be hard on yourself, give yourself some grace. You will get this, because if they can get that stuff through this thick skull, you can certainly get it for sure. John, hey Russ, good job. IFR training. I fly out of N87. Yeah, the 29 approach is tricky. Yeah, no doubt about it. Jeremy Singleton, I wonder what's a good way to start flying. I'm inspired by your flight expertise. Jeremy, here's the thing that I'm going to recommend that you do ASAP. One, Google flight schools near me, right? Just see what's around you. One, two, go to every one of those flight schools. Now, yes, Jeremy, I know it may be intimidating if you haven't done this yet, but going to a flight school can be intimidating, but they will be welcoming. There'll be somebody there that you'll say, hey, I'm interested in potentially being a student pilot. Somebody will, engage you, and go to all of them that are close to you. See what the traffic patterns are like. See what the school is like. Then the next thing you do is take a discovery flight at the flight school that makes the most sense to you. If it's only one, it's only one. Do it there. If you've got a number of different options, go to all of them, but pick one to take a discovery flight. Once you do that, then it will be pretty clear what makes sense to you in terms of A, is this the right flight school, or B, do I want to do this? I would say if you have the slightest inkling you want to do this. Now, here's the thing I'll say. Discovery flight, be prepared to do at least two, especially if you get your first one and you go in there and you feel nauseous, or it scares the mess out of you and you're just like, nope, 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 can't do this. Because I'm going to tell you, my first discovery flight, I did both. I was almost looking for the puke bag, number one. And number two, I'm looking at this guy and I'm in this thing and I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, land this thing, get me on the ground now. Because I didn't expect what happened, right? It's just, it freaked me out. So Jeremy, just know that if you do that, your discovery flight, give it, and you freak out or you get sick or whatever, don't think that's the conclusion. It's not for you. I would challenge you to do another one. Yes, you'd have to pay money, and it'll be money well spent, because what you're trying to do is ground truth, whether or not, because I guarantee you, like me, the second time I got in there, I was a lot less motion sick, number one. And number two, because I knew what to expect more, I enjoyed my time on the controls a lot more that second time. So hopefully that answers your question, but that would be my recommendation for, that's the way you get started on your journey. Blue side up, keep on going. You're a great witness. I almost gave up on ATC for the exact same reasons. I got in my own head in Oregon at a great tower and returned home. Took a break. Now trying round two in Alabama. Blue side up. Everybody show blue side up some love. You know what I mean? Keep going, brother. You know, that's awesome. Blue side up. Keep fighting for it, brother. That's awesome. Anpu, AMPU T678. I agree with that. I haven't started, as I'm about to install my Garmin 430 watts, and my friend flying his 182 told me the same thing. Yeah, it's a trip. Hella spaced out. I've mentioned this before, but your channel is the motivation I need. I know that if you can do it, I can do it too. Much love to you, big man. Absolutely hella spaced out. And I want people to basically, listen to what hella spaced out has typed. I'm telling you, I am no mental giant at all. I am basic intelligence level, especially as it relates to math. And so no mental giant whatsoever, just a regular dude. I'm telling you, if I can do this, you can do this too. Just have to fight through these initial, things. And I will say that even with the instrument, I'm, still young in this part of the journey. I'm struggling. But, like I said, with the support of all you and the words of encouragement, it has really helped. And I'm going to see this thing through. Um, there's a lot of really bad flight schools. Definitely check out as many as you can. Yeah, I completely agree. Simplify, number one. First of all, thank you for your service. And number two, I love your videos. I'm a virtual pilot. Sounds awesome. Thank you so much for support. I definitely love your support. Blue Side Up 77. If one instructor doesn't jive with you, be willing to switch instructors. Absolutely. Jose Nieves, great advice, Russ. Thank you. And Pooh 26, tell people that if you vomit, at least you know your senses in your ear is working. Yes. And that is exactly right. You know what I mean? That's what's happening. Your inner ear is doing some funky stuff. But yeah, if you lose it, it's definitely working. Congrats, Blue Side Up. Jeremy Singleton, thanks a lot for the advice, Russ. I'm glad. Hopefully this helps, and definitely stop back by and let us know how you're doing. John, say hi to Vanessa. She's great. Yes, she's Big E. What's going on? Okay, so I gotta give a shout out to Big E. Um, so if you don't remember, there's a video of a really young guy that I fly a complex airplane with, which means it had a constant speed prop and it was retractable landing gear. So that was the flight that I did with Big E. So it says flying with Big E. So he's on. I mean, and what a class act, he was building time. He was working on his commercial. I know he's gotten his commercial so far. And Big E, if you would just like throw something in the comments just to let us know, where you are in your journey. But great guy. And that's the thing of aviation. I've met some awesome people. Big E is like definitely one of those. Stephen Caldwell, come visit Kilo Lima Whiskey Bravo in West Virginia. Okay, Stephen, I'm gonna take you up on that. And Stephen, here's the deal. What I'll do is when I'm coming there, I'll reach out and let you know. And hopefully, like maybe there's a restaurant close or whatever, we could break bread. Because that's why I want to get this instrument rating so I can fly where I want, when I want, and not be worried about, are the ceilings going to drop? I mean, of course, convective activity, forget about it. I'm not flying. And I need at least 1,000-foot ceilings and at least 6-mile viz. Those are my personal minimums, even at, in an instrument context. But that's why I want my instrument rating so I can at least have more options to fly when it's just there's a low ceiling and I just need to get through and above it. Big E. Simplify, thanks. No, thank you. And thank you for your support for sure. JK, you are such an inspiration, Russ. I passed instrument written a year and a half ago, but have not started actual IFR training. Watching your videos makes me want to start the IFR training ASAP. Thank you. JK, make it happen. Do it. I'm telling you, once you get started, it's tough because it's hard to engage because it's like you already got your license and you can fly, and do you need to do this and finding an instructor and then going through all that scheduling mess again and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but definitely make it happen, please. I'm telling you, you will hate the training, but you will love what you're learning about how to fly and flying, with this precision. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. So make that happen. Ampu 260, 27678. I got complex endorsement on a Piper Archer in Doylestown. Yeah, that's the same one that Big E was flying. That's the one that I flew in that video. And I was actually going to start flying because Big E was the only one that was flying that airplane. So it was always available. And then as soon as I thought, yeah, I'll get my complex endorsement, they sold the daggone airplane. So Ampu 2678, that Piper Archer that you flew is gone. Kind of sucks. Big E, appreciate it, Russ. Just got my multi-engine instructor rating. Excellent. I'm going to be starting at Wings in about 2 weeks. Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations, man. I'll come over there and say hi to you. Thanks for letting me know. Steven, Carla, please do. Mexican restaurant at the main terminal and lots of other restaurants right in town. Steve, you got me at Mexican. I got a chicken burrito in my future, brother. um, turn money into noise. Message got retracted. Now that's interesting. I've never seen that before. John, hey Russ, if you need a safety pilot, I'm more than happy to help you. Sounds good, brother John. We'll definitely be doing that for sure. So, so anyway, that's to encapsulate the instrument training. It's going slowly, but it's going surely. I did a training session yesterday. We tried to do a instrument approach to circling landing. Oh my gosh. Now my cameras are acting wonky, but you'll see when that video comes out. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Disaster, absolutely disaster. And again, we were flying into a Class Delta airport, and there was so it's towered. So yeah, it was pretty disastrous. But anyway, that video coming soon. But even with the disastrous video, the disastrous performance that I have, I just know that I just have to hang in there. It'll come together. And like I said, all of you encouraging me really, really has helped. John, I got my instrument done in February. That's what's up, John. That's great, man. You are an inspiration. So gonna try to join you, brother. Steven, I'm hoping to start instrument maybe in another year. Just got my PPL in February and have been slowly building cross country time. Hopefully to fly myself to Outer Banks next weekend. Wow, that's going to be a great flight. And that's great. I will say, Steve, you know, take your time, engaging the instrument, enjoy that license. Just fly. Just enjoy flying. And that's why you see a lot of videos on my channel featuring little Sammy, because that little Cessna 152 was an awesome time builder, and it gave me a chance to really hone my aviation pilot skills. I think I learned so much. Not to say, because my CFI for my private was awesome. You remember Manish, if you haven't, go back and watch a training video. You'll see, Manish, excellent CFI. But you can only learn so much in that context, right? You really learn when you start taking these trips on your own and doing some cross countries and dealing with a crosswind that comes up out of nowhere or something like that. So definitely enjoy that time, Steve. Don't feel the need to rush into it, because I know there's some people who try to rush into all of that. And I got my that whole truncated thing. I went from zero to hero in like 15 days. It's like, yeah, well, good for you. And I'm glad for you. And if that's what's happened to you, cool. But not everybody needs to follow that model. So take your time, Steve. Ampu 2678. I know the same for 6086 golf. Wow. 6086 golf. So, gonna let you guys in on a little secret. There is a video that's going to be coming out soon, and it's going to be talking about all the airplanes that I flew. And I go through my logbook, and it's funny. I forgot about 6086 golf, and yeah, man, that is funny. Yeah, that's crazy. Yep, that's part of learning. Blue side up. Circle to land question for you. If the wind switched to higher than 7 knots right before you check in, would you prefer the controller to instruct you to circle to land the opposite runway? It's an excellent, excellent question. So here's what I'm going to say. It's interesting. I've only done one of these, and I did it yesterday, and it was a disaster. But one of the things that was kind of interesting is how dialed in the controller became to our airplane when we said we were doing an RNAV GPS approach circle to land. Like, as soon as we did that, it was almost akin that we declared an emergency. Like we were like super important to this ATC controller. And in fact, he made me ident so that he knew exactly where I was before I even engaged in the process of doing the approach. So, what I would say is if you're going to do a circle to land and it's at a towered airfield and some other parameter switches, I best believe I really do think that that controller is going to be in your world and is going to tell you exactly what you probably should do. Because one of the things that I have discerned about this circle to land is it is a very tough um, and can be somewhat problematic and dangerous if not done correctly. Like circle to land is one of those things where it gets people attention because there's been so many issues. And in fact, I think it was Teterboro where this jet with these two professional pilots were going into Teterboro and they were going to do a circle to land. They were way behind this airplane, and bottom line is they ended up crashing. Because they overshot and all that kind of stuff. So that would be my answer right now, Blue Side, because I really don't know since I'm only tried it once in training. But my guess is, like I said, you would be instructed in a non-towered environment. We did one time, and one of the things that was clear about it is once we got to where we needed to be in terms of height and we have the runway in sight, I was actually able to see the windsock as well. And so my guess would be in that scenario, if I see the windsock has switched, then instead of me doing a downwind, because I'm now doing a downwind to circle to land to this other runway. So I'm coming in 2-3, circle to land runway 5. If I see the windsock is favoring as I'm coming in, then and I've missed 2-3 and I'm now downwind for 5, I might just continue the pattern, do a crosswind, left crosswind, and then go downwind for runway 2-3. So I think in that scenario, there's a lot of stuff that comes up, and I think that's why circle to lands, you know, there's this extra layer of caution, from what and again, what do I know? Like I'm still training, right? But that's something that seems to be kind of coming up in terms of, circle to land. There's a little bit more wiggle room there, which means that there's a little more potential for stuff to go south. So that's the best way I can answer that question. Um, a Anpu 2678. What is your longest point A to point B flight, regardless of aircraft? So that video is coming up too. But I flew from Doylestown to Cincinnati. And that's all I want to say because I don't want to give it away. But that video will be coming up in the next two weeks. So Anpu 2678, just know that video, there'll be a shout out to your question. Um, Turn money into noise, Russ. You're an inspiration more than you know. I passed the written for IFR, but then due to COVID, ran out of time for the practical. Recently redid the written, but no practical practice yet. So here's what I'll say to you. First of all, thank you so much for the kind words. But the fact that you did the written twice, that means you are super committed to making this happen. So just start. Just start. And I get it because I did the written, and you had COVID, but I did the written and I basically sat on my written for like a year. And I just thought to myself, what am I doing? What am I waiting for? Because I only got a year left and I have to take this exam again. And I'm not trying to do that. And so I was just, Russ, just get started. And for me, get started was just who's going to be my instructor. And so once I started committing to that, then I committed to the first flight, and I did it with this instructor and that didn't really pan out, then I reached out to this other instructor and that didn't work out. So, but now I'm in the process of making it happen. So, I would say, turn money into noise. Just get started, because that's the thing is you get this sense of inertia, and you just know, okay, I got the written out of the way and I've got time and I've got time. And as 2 years is like poof, it's gone, right? And you're back in, back in taking another written. So just start, just start, just start. Couldn't agree more. Ask Stephen, your time building, practice holding altitudes and heading, and get flight following, practice talking at ATC. Agreed. Mr. Nieves, yes, I remember the accident. Oh, you remember that? Yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. The worst ones I ever dealt with was winds, variable gusting at 7 because you never know that before. Imagine landing in pure wind and bam, a gust smack you. And so, yeah, that's crazy. John, circling to land is tricky. Very important to manage airspeed. And there's and the right turn to make. Yep. Siskine, your instructor is great. Enjoyed watching how she work with you, especially during that helmet, the helmet fire moments. I love that. I love that. Yeah, helmet fire for sure. My gosh, just crazy. Let's see. Jeremy Singleton, is there an age limit to fly? Also, is there a medical that you have to pass? So, Jeremy, um, age limit to fly? No, right? Medical, that's a very extensive, that's a very interesting question. And here's the cliff notes. Yes, there is a medical and you have to pass one, but there's something called basic med. So that would be something that's like part of like a larger discussion. But yes, you do have to go to an AME or an aviation. I'm going to put this in the chat. Aviation medical examiner, or AME for short. And they are specific doctors that test you specifically for things that you need in order to be cleared. Then there's different classes of medical. So here's what I'm going to say, Jeremy. In addition to Googling flight schools, I would also Google aviation medical examiners near me. Now, the physical is not a big deal. Really, what they're testing for is color blindness, right? Because you have to be able to distinguish signs and lights and all that kind of stuff. So I think color blindness can put you in a situation. Now, I don't know if it's, if you are completely barred, that I don't know, but I know color blindness is one of the things they look for. Conditions, that kind of stuff, blood pressure, what kind of medications, that kind of stuff. So there are medical stipulations that you must meet, but there's some room there. So Jeremy, excellent question. But yeah, you do have to pass a physical, especially, and there's time frames depending on your age and what class of medical you get. So there's a lot involved in that question, but certainly most people of decent health can pass a third class medical exam. So yeah, you should be fine, unless, like I said, there's something where you're taking some really significant medications, or there's been things like that, or like color blindness, but that may be something that could be worked out with the FAA. Certainly if other folks have comments, you can say something to Jeremy in the chat. Sherlock 8700, love catching up with your adventures. Russ Can Fly all the way from the UK. Oh, Sherlock 8700 for the win. Welcome to the family, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch and reach out. That is just so awesome. Let's see, Big E, best circling approach I've ever done. The weather was right at the circling minimums at night definitely get you dialed in for sure. Chan Man for rings. Keep going. Enjoy watching your progress. Thank you so much. And let's see. Kevin Brown, Russ, love your channel. What specifically cued you into a certain CFI? What was right for you? Kevin Brown, I think what it was is, somebody who was comfortable with my learning style. I'm a slow learner. I am an experiential learner. I have to do things multiple times in order for it to make sense to me. Yes, I can read things and maybe I understand when I read it. Yes, you can tell me things and sometimes I'll understand it, but I won't learn it until I read it, hear it, and do it for myself. And so I need a CFI that had the patience to understand that you can't just tell me something and I automatically understand everything that you're telling me. I can't just read something and I understand everything that I need to understand. And you can't just, do those two. I need to do it. And so a CFI for me who understood that learning style, right? Because that's what it's all about. Each person has a different style of learning. So the person who could understand that I had that learning style and they could plug into that and we could both thrive. They could thrive as being an instructor, I could thrive as being a student, and those two things came together. That's how I made the choice. So hopefully, Mr. Brown, that answers your question. Ampu 2678. Any future upgrades to Charlie? Working on a few things in Betty Boop, the 1968 Cessna 172H. Also, congrats on your first year of aircraft ownership. I'm approaching my 3 year now and planning a Dynon HDX. So here's what I'll say, Ampu. I it has everything that it needs. I can't see it now. I will say I've got a Garmin GTN 650 as my nav, right? Man, I would like to have that. What is that? That 7 or even a G1000, like a bit, just to be able to see more. But the G5s do what they need to do in a GTN. So really, but that's like a wish list. Like, yeah, like a GTN 750, that would be sweet. Like I'd love to have that. So, but as it stands now, I'm good. Billy Swinton, what's up, brother? How you doing? Uh Turn money into noise. In my late 60s, I'm committed, but you would never believe the supernatural stumbling blocks that have been blocked my path. Got my license in the 80s. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Win, lose, it's entertainment. Do you eat a lot of carrots as a pilot? Yeah, yes, I do. Actually, as a matter of fact, and here's my proof. Here's one I just finished before the live. Oh, crazy. That's so funny that you asked that question. Um, let's see. I'm interested in aviation. I just need a flight school. So I told one of the things I said to Jeremy is that Google flight schools near me. Go visit all of them. Go talk to them. And like I said, it may be intimidating, but they're there for you. They want you there. They want to take your money. But Google flight schools near me. Go visit all of them and take a discovery flight at the flight school that makes the most sense to you, but be willing to do multiple, discovery flights. You'll know right then which flight school is right for you, and how you want to start your training. So that's how you get started. All right, so we are, getting we are getting we are an hour in, and I didn't think, it always amazes me, you guys are so engaging. And this always, blesses me so much. So just wanted to say, and John, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. After you finish IFR, then what you plan to get commercial? John, I don't know. And that's the thing that I want to talk about. And Jeremy, I see your question. I'll get to you. That's the thing. So I want to talk real quick about the Russ Can Fly YouTube channel and the journey. I don't know where I want to take this. I really don't. One of the things that you're going to start seeing is I am going to start expanding the type of topics that I cover, right? Because one of the things that I've been mindful of is making sure I put different types of topics, but I definitely want to expand out to topics. They're still going to be in the aviation or aviation related, but I'm definitely going to be expanding out some more. Also, what I want to start doing is, especially, and then just to talk about the members only section real quickly, I want to start, seeing if this whole, you know, having, appearances or like meeting people is a real thing. I think I'm going to start with like the members just to kind of see, if that's something, but that's something I definitely want to expand into because I want to start meeting some of you folks. Now, my brother from the UK, that may take some time, but definitely all the folks in the United States, be you on the West Coast, East Coast, whatever coast, um, really start dialing in, letting people know where I'm flying, where I'm going. So that I can meet some of you. So those are some of the things that I definitely want to expand into, and so definitely be on the lookout for that. So that's where I definitely want to start taking the channel. And here's the thing: when you see me, give me the thumbs up or thumbs down if you want to be included in a video. Here's the thing. I know some people are completely comfortable and be fine with being, part of a video. Some, however, you may not want to do that. And I don't want you to feel pressure to like, okay, I don't want to say anything, but I'm really not comfortable doing this. No, just let me know. Because if I come out and I'm coming to a place, and let's just say it's your airport, right? And you say, hey, Russ, come to my airport, we'll come to my hangar, but you don't want this in the public space, I'm totally fine with that, right? Because not everybody wants to be in this public space, and I get it. But certainly, if you are inclined, just know that, I would love to, have you part of the videos. People have seen me enough. People have heard me enough. I want them to meet other pilots and other student pilots and other potential student pilots. So if you see me and and I'm engaging and making a video and you are inclined, to engage the video, I want to start going in that direction as well so that I can show the aviation community other people in the aviation community and not just Russ. Because I want Russ Can Fly to be a representative of, and I want this channel to be an ambassador for the aviation community. So that's just some of the things that are coming up in the future. But I definitely wanted to let people know that you can take a pass. The reason why I say that is I know that many of you are just such amazing and wonderful people. You wouldn't want to like offend me or hurt my feelings or whatever. And so you might reluctantly allow me to pull you into this space. But you're really not inclined to do it. You have no problem being around me or, engaging with me, but you just turn the camera off. Let's just have a conversation. And you can talk about, you met me or we hung out or whatever, where we went, but I just prefer not to be on camera. Just let me know. I have no problem with that. The one thing I never want people to do is feel uncomfortable or I put you in a place where you're not feeling comfortable, in a particular space. I don't want to do that, right? So just wanted to kind of let you know that. Let's say so. Single Jeremy, one last question, Russ. I hate to keep asking questions, but I wonder how different flying in real life is to simulators like Microsoft Flight Sim. I'm pretty good at flying in the sim, LOL. So, first of all, Jeremy, never apologize for asking questions. That's the whole point of this channel and these lives, and a chance to just engage. Um, Here's what I will say. I'm hoping that others will answer this question as well, because I don't really do a lot of sim flying. I flew a sim one time. I didn't like it. and I think it's because I can't feel the controls. Because remember, I'm an experiential learner. I need to experience the fullness of things for me to understand. So when they talk about left turning tendencies in an airplane and the amount of right rudder input that you need when you go full throttle, you can't really feel that on a sim. I mean, I know it's going to simulate it, and you do probably have to put in this right rudder, or else you'll see the airplane go. But you can't. I need to experience the feeling, and so for me, to me, the live flying is far superior to sim flying. Now, that's just me. Others, definitely weigh in. Um, but I will say that sim flying is absolutely amazing in that it really does complement the real flying. So I say yes to both, really, because sim flying can really help you with your procedures. And I really think that that's something that it just should be both. My preference, however, I will say I love the live flying because I just love flying. All right, so he has entered the building, ladies and gentlemen. The Michael Carter Show, who's been a member for a year. And you've got a couple, I've got many, a few folks that have been members of the channel for a year. But I definitely wanted to send a special shout out to the Michael Carter Show and to thank you so much for your support over the years. Your support has been amazing. And I couldn't have done a lot of stuff without you and many others. Um, and I think I can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you so much. uh, so I just going to say thank you, Michael Carter Show, for the win all day long. And thank you so much for all that you've done. So let's see. Turn money into noise. Your faith is an encouragement. I hope we can do lunch sometime, maybe 44N. Definitely. We can make that happen. Turn money into noise for sure. Food head. Sim's great for knowing where stuff is in the cockpit, but doesn't prepare you for the 360 environment. Jeremy, the difference is physical motion of your body and bumps and any turbulence as compared to sitting in the chair. So you can see, Jeremy, there's some opinions down there. But one of the things I want you to be very clear: anytime I have a live or anytime you have a video, please ask your questions. Don't hesitate. I this whole journey and this whole channel is for people just like you. Um, and the Michael Carter Show has been instrumental in making sure that this space continues for people like you. So please don't stop asking questions for sure. Just one thing I like, Sim, is for practice, procedures, especially. Yeah, James, definitely, they are definitely amazing for sure. Uh, Jimmy Doolin, who also is been a member for a year. So definitely want to give a special shout out to Jimmy Doolin, for the win. And I definitely appreciate you as well, Jimmy. But Jimmy says when on a normal IFR trip, there will be time between approaches to get set up. Yep. The problem then is starting to study the approach chart far out enough. Absolutely. And that's that staying ahead of the airplane. Received a gift membership by the Michael Carter Show. That is just so awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Michael Carter Show, for doing that. That is just so amazing. So as you can see, this community just completely outstanding. It's just completely outstanding. And I thank you so much. Here's my ask of all of you. Um, as I continue this journey, please feel free to suggest different video topics. Michael Carter Show has done so in the past, and some of those videos have been, very, very good. And like I said to, Mr. James, I will, and some of the others, don't be afraid to ask questions and engage, and just know that in the future, I would really like to get to meet folks. And so, one of the things that I want to do, and I'm hoping that's why I want to get this instrument rating done so I can focus on flying again, because it's really just been taking over my life, which it should. I want to be able to say, and give people like a couple weeks notice. Hey, I'm flying out to Lancaster Airport and I'm going to the restaurant. If you're interested, let me know. Let's meet out there. Let's break bread and let's, talk smack, you know, or I'm going out to where the Michael Carter show is. Come out and come hang out with me and Michael Carter show if you're in that area. And so that's the kind of stuff that I really, want to start doing. And here's the other thing. There are a few of you who, may want to start being pilots, and, I'd have no problem taking you up. You know what I mean? And so those are the types of things that I want to start moving to in terms of, my channel. And like I said, I really want to start engaging you folks. You guys have been so good to me, and the only thing you know about me is through this media called YouTube, right? And you have helped me build this channel to the point where, you know, the channel's monetized. Who knew that was ever going to happen? Like this middle-aged dude, has a monetized YouTube channel. Like I never thought, I didn't even know what that was. I came to YouTube to fix my toilet. Like that's what you do at YouTube. But you guys have really, allowed me to take this from a source of entertainment to almost like a side business. And so, since it's beginning to morph into more of a business for me, now again, I can't do it the way I really want to do it yet because I still got a full-time job. Actually, I got two because I'm married. Just saying. But this has become like a job, a business concern. And so I'm really beginning to view you all as customers. And so, because of that, I want to make sure that I am serving you, my community, my customers, with absolute excellence in terms of customer service. And so, one of the ways in which I want to serve this community is to make sure that I'm reaching out and engaging my customers in real time. So that's one of the things that I want to, go, move the channel. And like I said, don't be concerned if you see thumbnails that don't automatically look like an aviation video. It's still going to be aviation related. Oh, Jose Nieves, thank you so much. Wow, I really appreciate this. I got to send this quick reply. Wow, thank you. Thank you so, man, guys. I can't type. I'm all in my feelings. Thank you so much. Wow, that is incredible. Um, wow, thank you, Jose. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I really want to begin to serve you guys, because look at the way in which you're supporting me. So I really want to engage you, find you guys, fly with you guys, eat with you guys, meet with you guys, hang out, and I really want to meet the potential pilot that is worried about whether or not they can do this, or they're intimidated, because I can remember that. I can remember going to that first flight school and I walked in there and I'm looking around and I'm just, I hear conversations and they're talking and I'm like, and I want to leave because I'm not comfortable, because I don't know if I'm welcome in this space. I want to kick the doors open for folks. So I want to be like, okay, look, we're here. You know, where are we go? You want to come to the flight? So come on, come to the school. I'm going to be there. I'm laying at this airport. They have a flight school. Come over. I will. Help you meet. The instructors. I'll introduce you to the people. I'll set you up. And here's the other thing I want to do. As customers, as you can see, there's been this giving that's starting to happen, and it's been amazing. I want to start giving back, where if if there's a financial concern for a discovery flight, I want to gift that to that person, right? Where it's like, I can't do much, because I got an airplane. And if you know anything, airplane ownership, it makes no financial sense, but it's such an amazing thing. So, so I can't pay for your flight school, but I may be able to spot you on a discovery flight. That's all the stuff I want to do, and I'm so excited, and I can't wait. So those are directions I want to do. And the Jose Nieveses of the world, they're gonna, and Michael Carter show and all the other members and all that kind of stuff are going to make that possible, where I'll be able to do that. And Jose Nieves, I want to meet him. And Michael Carter show, we've been going back and forth. I want to meet him, and Jimmy, and so many people, One Dog Geek. I can just name all these people. I just can't wait. So thank you so much. Michael Carter, so have you ever had Dippin' Box chips before? No, I can't say that I have, man. But thank you so much for all that you do, brother. Like I said, Michael Carter show. That brother's good. Want to see you back in flight school, brother. So anyway, let me do a little bit last comments, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, because we've been going. The reason why I asked is because I picked up from there in Bethel last month. Interesting. I had to check those out. And so let me see. KD, good afternoon, Russ. I know you're up in the Northeast, but if you ever happen to come to Gulfport, Biloxi, Gulf Papa Tango, hit me up. I'll come hang out with you and welcome you to the Gulf Coast. Let's do that. We're gonna make that happen. So that's all the stuff that I want to do for sure. Food head, customer. Okay, I want to speak to the I want to speak to the manager. That is funny. Good. That is so amazing. All right, let's see. Something is happening here. Uh wow, James S sent 10 Russ Can Fly gift memberships. Holy smokes. Goodness gracious. James S. Holy smokes. Wow. Wow. Jose Nieves sent 5 Russ Can Fly gift memberships. That's just crazy. This is nuts. Okay. Wow. 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 This is absolutely amazing. Okay, so thank you guys. Wow. All right, so wow. Thank you guys. Thank you. I can't thank you guys enough. Damn, I didn't know we had a lot of members. Wow. Okay, so I am going to get ready to wrap this up because you people are killing me. You people are killing me. Really. Um, but I thank you all, and I thank you for allowing me to do what I do. I thank you for accepting me for who I am, and how I approach this channel. Um, I just can't thank you all enough. And all of these gifting of memberships and stuff, this is definitely going to help me do what I want to do, is just pull people in, and gift a discovery flight, and just help people. The one thing I want to do is I want to buy people that first log book, you know and when they take the discovery flight, so they can have their log book and they can see that first flight, and just have lunch and break bread. So thank you so much. The generosity is really really amazing. So I thank you all, and I'm you don't see me. My allergies are bothering me. Oh man, this was so unexpected. So I thank you all so much. Really, I do. Um, as I sign off from this live, and this has been amazing, one of the things I do want to hear is, are these things that you want me to see me do? Lives are always one of those things where I'm not sure how they play out. Um, if this is something where you may, do I do it once a month or, once a quarter or whatever? And then, like I said, videos that you want to see. And you're going to start seeing different types of videos from me trying to deal with things like, how do you keep from getting airsick? And what are some of the things that I've done? You know, being nervous or being claustrophobic, and some of the techniques I use to try to talk myself down, all of that kind of stuff. And somebody says, thank Caroline too. She makes you the best. And she really does. My wife, let me just say this as before I sign off. So I will have been this end of June, I will have been married to my wife for 29 years. And Proverbs teaches us that, and it says that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And I will say that my wife, Caroline, has been one of the absolute best things that has happened to me in my life. No, we don't always get along. No, we don't always see eye to eye. No, we're not completely compatible and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what marriage is, and that's not what a mate is. Um, she is the person that I know I can go to when I'm at my lowest and really show her the true things that are happening to me. She's the person that just with a touch of her hand on my face can make, a bad day into a better one. She's the person, who, I always know that I can go right up to her and I can say one word and we both bust out laughing. Um, and so she's just, amazing. And as you can see, she's flown with me a couple times. Flying to her scares the mess out of her, but because she loves me, she's flown with me. And just the other day, she talked about how she's going to try to help how to navigate her nervousness so that she can fly with me. She's amazing. So thank you for that. Yeah, so wow, just this has just been amazing. So, Kevin Brown, appreciate you, Russ. Keep the live shows going. Great venue for student pilots like myself to learn new ideas and improve on what we've learned. Good to know. John, you are great. Keep practicing, and you will get there. So, thank you so much. I am just been blown away. And brother James, thank you for the memberships, the folks who have bought memberships and have done super chats and all these things that I never I never know what they are. Michael Carter show, the super chat, and the Jose Nieves, the super chat, and the memberships, and just all the gifts and stuff. Thank you so much. And it really has really touched me. So um John, 90% off success if you are married. Yeah, so thank you so much. I am going to wrap this up, and thank you, so much. And I thank you all. So last, chat, peace and blessings to you all. And again, I thank you. I can't thank you enough. So with that, Russ Can Fly, thank you so much. And have a wonderful weekend. For all my dads out there, happy Father's Day. Enjoy this day and all the days to come of being a dad. And I thank you and bless you also. May God bless you and keep you, is my prayer. All right, take care, good people. Peace.